Welcome to Unexplored Mysteries. Today, we bring you a chilling story told by Emily, a student who had to spend a night at the mysterious Clown Motel in Tonopah, Nevada. After missing her flight, she had no choice but to stay at a place known for its eerie decorations and proximity to a cemetery. What started as a simple overnight stay turned into something she would never forget. Before we dive into her story, don't forget to subscribe and comment on how you would react in her situation. Now, without further ado, let's hear Emily's story.
My story began when I missed my connecting flight and had no other choice but to stay at the Clown Motel. I tried to laugh at the bizarre sight of the clowns in the lobby, but a shiver ran down my spine. The receptionist gave me a strange smile and handed me the key to room 214. His words, "Good luck tonight," lingered in my mind as I headed to my room. "It's just one night," I told myself, trying to keep calm. As I walked down the hallway, the sound of my own footsteps seemed unnaturally loud, echoing off the walls. The clown murals on the walls seemed to change expressions under the flickering lights. I shook off the unease, chalking it up to exhaustion and nerves. When I reached room 214, I fumbled with the key, feeling an inexplicable urgency to get inside. But as soon as the door opened, a wave of cold air greeted me. The room itself was nothing special, except for the giant mural of a clown directly facing the bed. Its smile was unnervingly wide, and its eyes seemed to follow me no matter where I moved. I put my suitcase down and tried to avoid looking at the painting. I decided to take a quick shower to relax, hoping the warm water would wash away my worries. I turned on the shower, letting the cold water flow over me, hoping it would clear my mind. But even in the bathroom, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. A soft tapping noise came from the room outside. I held my breath and listened, but it stopped as suddenly as it started. Wrapping myself in a towel, I stepped out cautiously, glancing toward the closet. I walked over to the closet, half expecting to find something out of place. But when I opened it, it was empty, just my clothes hanging neatly. I closed the door with a sigh of relief, convincing myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. I decided to watch some TV to drown out the creeping silence. But as soon as I turned it on, static filled the screen. I tried changing the channels, but nothing came through except the static hum. Then, just for a second, an image flickered on the screen, an old, grainy shot of the cemetery outside. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly turned the TV off. As I did, the room seemed to grow colder, and a soft whisper echoed through the air, though I couldn't make out the words. I froze, listening. I tried to tell myself it was just the wind or a draft from the window, but the whisper persisted. It was like someone murmuring just out of earshot, a gentle shove that sent chills down my spine. I pressed my ear against the door, hoping to hear something from the hallway, but it was dead silent outside. The motel seemed to hold its breath along with me. Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting the room in brief moments of darkness. I held my breath, eyes fixed on the clown mural, which seemed to shift in the flickering light. For a moment, I thought its smile stretched even wider. My pulse raced, and I reached for the lamp beside the bed, trying to steady my shaking hands. But when the light steadied, everything was as it had been. At least, that's what I tried to believe. I decided to ignore it all, thinking that fatigue was playing tricks on my mind. I climbed into bed, pulling the blankets up to my chin, but sleep wouldn't come. My eyes kept drifting back to the mural, feeling as if the painted eyes were watching me. I forced myself to look away, counting down the hours until morning. But then, a soft thud came from the closet again. I sat up, staring at the closet door, which was now slightly ajar. It was closed before, I thought, my breath catching in my throat. I slid out of bed, heart hammering, and slowly approached the door. My fingers brushed the handle, hesitating. The room felt colder than before, and the air was thick with something I couldn't quite name. I yanked the door open, expecting the worst. Inside the closet, There was nothing but shadows. My clothes hung undisturbed, swaying slightly as if something had just brushed past them. I closed the door hard, trying to shake off the rising panic. "It's all in your head, Emily," I whispered to myself, but a soft laugh, barely more than a breath, drifted through the room, making the hair on my neck stand on end. I spun around, searching for the source of the sound, but the room was empty. The laugh had been so faint, almost like a child's giggle, but there was no one else in the room. I backed up against the wall, clutching the blankets around me, feeling like I was losing my mind. "It's just exhaustion," I repeated over and over. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just out of sight. I tried to distract myself by scrolling through my phone, but even that seemed impossible. My battery drained rapidly, and the screen flickered with static, just like the TV. I tossed it onto the bedside table in frustration. As I looked up, I saw a shadow move across the room, crossing the light from the window. I froze, unable to believe what I had just seen. I grabbed my phone again, using its flashlight to scan the room. But there was nothing there, just the same old furniture, the same unsettling mural, and the shadows that seemed to dance at the edge of the light. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped my phone. I turned back toward the bed, but the closet door was open again, just a crack. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran to the closet, ready to slam the door shut for good, but as I reached for the handle, a cold breeze swept over me, carrying with it a faint, rotten smell. It was like earth and decay, so strong that it made me gag. I stumbled back, covering my mouth, and watched in horror as the door swung fully open on its own. There was no wind, no logical explanation for why the door moved. I reached out, and the darkness inside the closet seemed to swallow my hand, colder than the air around me. I pulled back quickly, slamming the door shut, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was on the other side. I backed away, my eyes fixed on the door, waiting for it to move again. I crawled back into bed, curling up as small as possible under the covers. My whole body was shaking, and I couldn't stop glancing at the closet. I wanted to call someone, but I knew that no one would believe me. The thought of enduring this alone made me feel even more desperate. I shut my eyes tightly, hoping I could somehow will myself to sleep. But sleep didn't come. Instead, I heard it again, a low, rasping whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. It was calling my name, each syllable drawn out like a taunt. M-A-I. My blood ran cold, and I sat up, clutching the blanket to my chest. The mural seemed to watch me with its painted eyes, gleaming in the darkness. I tried to ignore the voice, but it grew louder, more insistent. It was like a chant, filling the room with a cold presence that pressed against my mind. I put my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. It was inside my head, filling my thoughts with dread. I stared at the closet, feeling as if something inside it was staring back at me, waiting. I couldn't stand it anymore. I jumped out of bed and ran to the door, yanking on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. I pounded on the door, shouting for help, but my voice seemed to disappear into the silence. Tears streamed down my face, and I felt utterly trapped. There was no one outside, no sound but my own desperate cries. The TV turned on again behind me, casting a flickering blue light across the room. This time, the static showed something else, a close-up of a clown's face, its wide grin filling the entire screen. Its eyes seemed to blink, and then, as if seeing me, the grin widened even more. I stumbled backward, pressing myself against the door, unable to believe what I was seeing. "Get out," I shouted at the screen, as if that would make it disappear. But the clown's laughter echoed, mingling with the whispers in my mind. I was losing it, I knew that. I ran back to the closet, throwing open the door, desperate for some escape from this nightmare. But it was just darkness and the smell of decay, swirling around me. I took a deep breath and decided to confront whatever was in there. "Show yourself," I yelled, but the closet remained silent. I stepped inside, feeling the cold air wrap around me, and I turned to face the wall. I couldn't believe I was doing this. I needed to see what was hiding in the shadows. But as I turned, a figure materialized from the darkness right in front of me. It was a girl, pale and ghostly, with hollow eyes and a sad expression. She looked just like me, but her smile was twisted, her face a mask of sorrow. "Help me," she whispered, and my heart dropped. I wanted to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. She reached out, and I felt a pull, like she was trying to draw me closer into the shadows. I stumbled backward, slamming the closet door shut again. I could hear her soft crying, muffled but present, echoing in the corners of my mind. "You're just tired," I thought frantically, trying to convince myself. But the reality of the situation hit me hard, and the laughter of the clowns mixed with her cries, creating a chorus of despair. I dashed to the window, desperate for light and air. I threw open the curtains, but the cemetery outside looked darker than ever, almost alive in the moonlight. I could see the shadows of the gravestones, twisted and elongated, stretching toward me as if they wanted to pull me outside. The whispers grew louder, echoing my own fears. I backed away from the window, feeling trapped. The entire motel felt like it was closing in on me, the walls pressing tighter and tighter. I could hardly breathe as I thought about what was happening to me. "I just need to survive the night," I whispered to myself, feeling my heart racing. But the night felt endless, the darkness suffocating. Suddenly, the lights flickered one last time before going completely out. The room was plunged into darkness, and panic surged through me. I fumbled for my phone, praying the battery hadn't died, and managed to turn on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, but it only illuminated the clown mural and the now-closed closet door. I felt like I was being cornered, trapped in a nightmare that wouldn't end. I could still hear the whispers, still feel the presence of something sinister in the room. Then, just as I thought I would lose my mind, the door swung open slowly, revealing a figure standing in the shadows. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was watching me.
And that's how Emily's night at the Clown Motel turned into a living nightmare, one that she'll never forget. Was it just her imagination, or was there something truly sinister in room 214? If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more spine-chilling tales, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share what you would do in such a situation in the comments. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time on Unexplored Mysteries.